I swear to God, this whole time I just assumed Asia Wilson had a signature shoe. I don't understand how she doesn't. I feel like it's such a layup when you consider she's undisputedly the best player in the WNBA. First of all, I think so. Then she is a 2-time MVP, 5-time All-Star, 2-time champion. And there's people saying she's not marketable. That's ridiculous because she's funny as hell and she has half the NBA wearing a one sleeve on the leg. We saw LeBron wearing it recently. And it's just like, how does any apparel company miss this? Right? I don't understand it. It's so obvious. And this is not to take away from Caitlin Clark because that conversation got a little crazy too. Like, I understand, like, she has a bunch of racist people following her. Obviously, we all hate that. She, I'm sure, hates it herself. But she is the all-time leading scorer in college basketball, regardless of gender. And she broke Pete Maravich's record. So there is obviously some special talent there. So it's none of this to take away from Caitlin Clark because, truth be told, there's nothing you can take away from Caitlin Clark. But me finding out today, again, because I just assumed Asia Wilson had her own signature shoe, that she didn't, it's a little ridiculous. And I just feel like these other women just need a little more spotlight on them. I also mentioned on social media earlier, I've noticed Angel Reese is getting completely swept under the rug as far as her contributions to the growth of the women's game, especially in college with the ratings. She was the big name first. Obviously, Caitlin Clark ended up becoming the superstar, but she was the one who captured like the quote unquote culture. And like, I compare Angel Reese kind of like to an Allen Iverson for women in some sense. She was the one who kind of kicked this momentum off. She's the one who won the championship. And now it's like Caitlin Clark is getting all the credit for it. And so it's been uneven. I could say we could speculate on the reason for that, but we kind of know the reason for that, unfortunately. But once again, there's nothing you can take away from Caitlin Clark, but it's just I want to see these other women get a little more attention.
Absolutely. And it's not to, like you said, it's not to take away from Caitlin. She deserves her accolades. She deserves her marketability. But it's not just her. It's literally like, if you've been following along with this, it's been since before Sabrina Ionescu, great player, great talent, great young player, but she got a shoe before Asia Wilson as well.
Yeah.
And it's just continued like the disrespect to African American women and just their contributions to the W. Like it's a vast majority Black league, and you got the three players with signature shoes are all white.
Yeah, and to be fair though, Breanna Stewart did leave Nike to get her own shoe.
Yeah,
but I don't think that makes shoe companies look any better. Just going back to the original thing, the best player in this league doesn't have her own signature shoe.
Yeah,
like it's I don't get it.
And like you said, she's smart, she's funny, she's a great role model. She just came out with her first book and bestseller. Like she's awesome. Everybody loves her. 3-time gold medalist. Reigning back-to-back champion in the W. Just got named most influential people, top 100, I believe it was. Like she's an awesome player, awesome person. Yep. Awesome teammate. Like everyone loves her. Nobody has anything bad to say about her ever. Besides that fucking dumbass who voted for her for 4th for MVP. Reveal yourself, motherfucker. But besides, it's crazy. And like I said, it's not about not just about Sabrina or Caitlin or Brianna. Like they deserve their own stuff too, but it's like, so does Asia. Like Asia should absolutely have her own shoe. There's a lot of Candace Parker was the only other one that had a shoe, and she's obviously on her way out. But like, there's so many great WNBA players, and they are marketable. They are awesome to watch. Like they're exciting to watch. Like I'm sorry if you like basketball and you do not like watching Chelsea Gray play. Like you secretly don't like basketball. I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you this. There's no way you can watch Chelsea Gray play basketball and not be a fan.
Absolutely.
They need to do better.
Yeah, I just feel like it's. Oh, go ahead, Lou, because you haven't.
No, absolutely. It's unfortunate. I guess better late than never. I'm happy that this is finally starting to be a thing because they need, like you guys said, I feel like they're just scared to like market behind women, let alone African American women, clearly. But it's like they've never really like this is a whole new era that we're entering. Like the W's got in the most. This is the most hype draft, in part to Angel Reese, like Kenny talked about a couple years ago, coming out into the scene and doing what she did for LSU. Caitlin Clark then taking the baton. Obviously, what the Aces did last year was sensational. Like there is marketable for sure. Like as long as you know how to approach it the right way, but absolutely, you would. It would just be so much better if the like people stop being scared to market this league because the league is excellent. Like Frankie said, if you love basketball and you don't like the W, just say you like men's basketball. Like you don't like basketball because they play absolutely sensational. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I've been watching them for years. Mostly started watching the W last year, and I can tell you it is sensational. Just even coming across the game and watching the way some of these women impact the game on both ends, it's truly sensational. So it's really cool watching. For example, the person who caught my attention off rip was Alyssa Thomas, and we're talking about it off air. Like if you love just everything that makes the teams that you hate fuel, that's what Alyssa Thomas does. But she does it for her team. Like all the little things, all the things where you're like, God, how is she there again with the perfect on-point pass, perfect rebound, perfect rotation, perfect this, perfect that. And she's like not even the most, gifted talent, whatever. It's just super cool because in the W we were talking about off air as well, like the effort is there from 1 through 5 at all times. It does not matter. And yet you're watching somebody's effort stand out consistently. I was like, oh my goodness. Like it just like a little Energizer bunny the whole time on the court, and it was sensational to watch.
Yeah, I just feel like sometimes these corporations can kind of have to take accountability for themselves. Because for one, if you can't market the best player in the league, a league that's growing as fast as WNBA, that's on you 100%. And two, Nike themselves, they've seen firsthand that if the shoe is good enough, people are going to buy it. People have all these jokes about Paul George and playoff P and all that. His shoe sells because it's a great shoe to hoop in. Before Kyrie ended up, I don't know if he's still with them or not. I think he's gone and went somewhere else. But people had all that stuff to say about Kyrie and he's so weird and the spirituality stuff and flat earther. But when he dropped the shoe, it sells. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just like Nike knows better than anybody. And if you put the good product out, it'll sell from the very beginning. Now, granted, Michael Jordan was Michael Jordan, but the product, you revolutionized this shoe and it became this huge thing, and it's still a huge thing 40 years later. And it's just like, I just don't understand where the fear is coming from as far as this goes. Because again, I assumed she had one this whole time because there's no way.
Man.
No way.
It's crazy because like it's not even like it shouldn't even be like a black women thing. Like like if you know anything about tennis, Serena Williams and Venus Williams sell out a lot of merch.
Yeah,
they I worked the Miami Open one year, and bro, the every woman came in there. Where's the Serena? Where's the Venus? Can I get some of this? Do they have this? What colors do you have? I'm like, bro, that's over there. Go over there. Get out of this is too much. I was like, boss, can we put a sign up like this is the little way to Serena section? I was tired of talking to people. Man, like you have the talent. And like you said, Kenny, if your marketability is solely dependent on the athlete, like you're letting the athlete do all the work, and your marketing team should not get a single fucking cut of that slice. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
It's if it's all on them, then then you need to do a better job. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And it's just it's missing such a huge opportunity because Black women are marketable mainly because Black women are loyal to what they like, right? And they're so supportive. When you look at even outside of sports, Issa Rae came from YouTube. Quinta Brunson came from Instagram skits. Like, if Black women like you, there's no limitation to how far you can go. And so you have the best player in the WNBA. And Lexi Brown's spoken on this also. She's getting deals now, but like there's so many cosmetic brands and stuff that could benefit off this because Black women set the tone on fashion and all kinds of stuff.
For sure. All
due respect to him, but Jared McCain got a nail deal before any women's player. And I don't care who paints their nails. I like live your life. It's a trend. I'm 31 years old. I'm not going to follow it. But live your life. Do what you want to do. I'm not going to make any assumptions on your sexuality. If your sexuality is something that's not straight, I really don't care. It's none of my business. But how does no like nail company catch like a woman who's painting her nails for games and all that? Like no makeup company, because they're all women. I think Lexi Brown's one of the women who wears makeup during games. I'm probably wrong about that, to be honest with you. But like, how do you miss this golden opportunity as a business?
Yep.
I don't. And then it all goes back to the best player in the game. She should have companies beating her door down with as
lining
big
up.
as big as the WNBA is getting and how fast it's growing. I don't understand how you missed that.
And I'm sorry, A'ja Wilson. Well, like to talk about the men's game real quick. A'ja Wilson as a personality is infinitely more interesting than Wemby.
Oh yeah.
Wemby and I love Wemby. I respect him. He absolutely deserves a shoe deal. Yeah. His accolades, that logo is fire. But it's strictly an on-court thing with him. Like he seems like the new Tim Duncan, like personality-wise, which cool. All respect to him. Hoop, that's all you care about. That's all I care about too. But like for this, A'ja absolutely deserves her own shoe, bro. Come on. Like, get out of here.
New Balance has a whole thing of, and it's not even a campaign. It's just Kawhi says nothing in this commercial,
right?
And so, like, if you, and I understand it's two different companies, but like, you can push a personality and a talent like A'ja Wilson and have no issues with it. I don't understand where the fear is, but we're gonna move on real quick and just congratulate the women who got drafted into the WNBA. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Caitlin Clark, and we don't want to get into the creepy reporter and what he don't shoot your shot at work. Don't shoot your shot at work.
Great life advice, guys.
Yeah, like I'm not going to tell my personal business, but even if you end up, all right. So I got to clear it up. I've had a shot at me at work, and I accepted it, and it's just a lot of one person. And when you want to get out of that situation, it's a lot more difficult. But if the roles are reversed, like the roles being reversed, like you don't want to be the guy who the girl's not interested and now she's uncomfortable. Just don't do that.
Yeah.
And then, like, dude, you're twice her age. There was a lot going on there. But congratulations to the women. Caitlin Clark is joining Aaliyah Boston out in Indiana. Fun. That's fun. Angel Reese out in Chicago. Now, you want to talk about marketing, like Angel Reese going to a city like Chicago.
Perfect.
Gold mine. And they got this big front court now, going to be impossible to score on, going to be impossible to grab rebounds over.
Her and Camila Cardoso out of South Carolina, man. That's just freakishly tall. You had two of the best defensive centers on. Now they're joining the same team, and the videos have been going around of their battles and them trash talking, and now they're on the same team. And man, like you're gonna need a lot of shooting around them, but that Camila's like 6'7", like a legit 6'7", and Angel's like 6'3", 6'4", and they both play big. So that's gonna be fun to watch.
And credit to them. This is like
D-Wade.
Yeah, this is like maybe a calendar year after Candace Parker leaves.
Yeah.
And so credit to them for rebounding the way they did that fast. But just y'all thoughts real quick on the WNBA draft.
Oh, I mean, you literally talked about what, the biggest takeaway I had was like, my God, like they are going for size, they're going for defense, they're going for grit, because Cardoso she was like the heart and soul too of that South Carolina team, like literally the defensive anchor of that team in the middle. We know what Angel Reese is and who she is and everything she stands for on the court. Like, you can question sometimes if she's skilled enough offensively. One thing you can never question is her effort, her defense, and her intensity. And they're just, two of the women who are going to carry the torch in terms of like the culture, setting the tone. They have that kind of mentality. Will they work together on the court? Offensively, like Frankie said, they're going to need some pieces, but defensively and just in terms of like out hustling opponents, they have a chance to shut down every team just with those two on the court. Like their defense is already set, should be set to be one of the best defenses just with them two on the court together.
I want to see them against the Aces.
Oh my goodness.
I do too.
With Candace Parker healthy again, I want to see that.
Yeah, that's it. They're definitely setting a new culture with these two high draft picks, high character leaders, NCAA champions. Like that's a great foundation of pieces. I also really like the Sparks draft, getting Cameron Brink at number 2 and then Rakia Jackson at 4. Man, that's a great table setters right there. Cameron Brink, so much fun. She's so fun to watch. Defensively, just everywhere. Her shooting versatility, and then Rakia, just her scoring ability. It's going to be so fun to watch in LA. And obviously, I'm an Aces fan, so Dejounte Fair off the bench. Let's get it. 6th person of the year coming up, rookie of the year. And man, we're going to see like a lot of great competition in training camp to see like for all these roster spots, because there was a lot of talent in this draft.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Playoff File. I'm Kenny. Once again, that doesn't matter. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get podcasts, whether it's audio, video, wherever. Just make sure you do that. Frankie, how you doing today?
I'm mourning the Jimmy Butler's knee, but
we're gonna get into that soon.
But I'm good, man. How about yourself?
Man, same thing as always. Tired as hell from editing and all this stuff. Lou, how you doing?
Pretty much the same as Frankie. I think we speak for everybody who's a Heat fan. We are mourning Jimmy Butler, but super thankful that we get to witness these playing games, because 3 out of the 4 have been fucking sensational. Like it's been elite basketball, elite competitive. I don't want to say maybe the gameplay hasn't been elite,
maybe
but
2 out
competitive.
of 4.
Maybe 2 out of 4. Depends on what you consider elite, offense or defense, but it's fun to watch is what I'll say.
Man, so we might as well just go ahead and get into it. It's been a brutal season for the Miami Heat as far as health goes. First of all, Tyler Hero missed 20 games. Jimmy Butler missed some time.
Missed 40 games.
Oh, he did miss 40 games. Somebody missed 20. I don't know. But
Jimmy,
I'm losing count. They've had a bunch of people miss a bunch of games. They started to get like halfway healthy. They were reaching for the 4 seed, and then everybody got hurt.
Yeah.
And then they're back in the play-in, and then they get to the play-in. They're almost kind of healthy again. Duncan's kind of almost back. Terry Rozier is trying to get back. Jimmy Butler looks like he's about to have a playoff Jimmy performance. He's stealing everything. He's out on a break. It's like, okay, this is the Jimmy we've been waiting to see all year. And then, unfortunately, he does a Jimmy Butler thing where he has an open dunk, but he pump fakes. Kelly Oubre goes for it, lands on his leg, tears Jimmy's MCL, and it's just like, does this shit ever end?
Man.
Now, Jimmy stayed out there 13-3-3 on a torn MCL, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's a severe injury, and he had no business taking back into that game. So credit to him for that, but man, it's just fucking rough. It's rough.
It is, man. And, it's unfortunate, but, we talked about this off air a little bit, just like how they kind of tempted the basketball gods with their behavior and their audacity. The last, it's honestly, I want to say since they went up 3-0 on the Celtics and they didn't finish it out at home, they got sloppy. Gabe got hurt immediately, and they kept testing fate and not finishing the job. And this whole regular season, they didn't really take it seriously. Just guys missing games, guys not taking it serious, guys not hustling, guys just not helping things get on course until the trying at the very end. Like they basically aced a test they didn't study for last year, and they thought they could get away with it again, and they overslept. So it's disappointing, but I'm not surprised, honestly. And credit to Philly, credit to Kyle and Nick Batum. They balled out and they really made a difference. Credit to Buddy Hield too. He's not getting a lot of credit for him setting the tone, starting the game. Him and Nick attacking the gaps and against the zone in the second half. Not just Caleb Martin missing those 2 free throws and the bricking for chicken, which started the comeback, but the role players attacking the gaps and not just being spot up players. And Kelly Oubre closed the door with defense and that seal and one to get them up. Hell of a game from their role players.
Yeah, you
need that. That's what great playoff teams do. Like great teams do that. Your role players can win you a game when your stars don't have it. And credit to Maxey and Embiid, because Embiid obviously looked physically limited, but he still pulled down 15 rebounds, 23 points, got hit that big 3 to tie the game. Maxey battled. Even though Jimmy was limited, Maxey has he still has like 60 pounds on Maxey, and Maxey would not let him seal inside. He was absolutely fighting and battling. I've never seen Maxey play defense like that. I was so impressed, and I like Maxey, so I can't hate the Sixers. I know I'm a Heat fan.
Shout out Giancarlo Navas.
But I don't hate
the Sixers enough for all of us.
Yeah, I don't hate the Sixers like that. They're not a team that brings out that rage like the Celtics do.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, man, like absolutely credit to Nick Nurse too, man. What a performance. He's a great coach. We were really impressed. I've always been really impressed by him from the get-go, and he deserves all the accolades and more.
Yeah, and real quick, I'm sorry, Lou. I don't want to jump into but just before I lose the point about the Heat testing fate with the basketball gods and not taking the regular season series, I do have to kind of point this out just because there's been a misconception about me since I don't want to call myself popular because I'm really not popular, but since people within like the Miami Heat world have gotten to know me, there's a misconception about me. Like I'm not critical of players or teams, and I am pretty often. It's just that I don't do it in a disrespectful way or in a way to write anybody off. So the thing I always say when the Heat lose to bad teams is there's no guaranteed wins in the NBA, right? And a lot of people, they reply to that like saying I'm making excuses for the team, and I'm really doing the opposite. There's no guaranteed wins in the NBA, meaning you need to get up for these games, right? Or these teams can still punch you in the face. The Washington Wizards record said they're a bad team. They have talent on that roster. And if one or two of those players get hot, you will lose. I don't care if they only won however many games a season. It's still the NBA. The players are always going to be against tanking because the front office is basically telling them, do me a favor and play bad so I could possibly draft your replacement. And the players ain't going for that. So if you're the Miami Heat and you have a game against the Wizards, you need to get up for that. I don't care what the record is. And so when you lose that game and that ends up being the difference between the 6th seed and the play-in because you bullshitted and you figured past couple years, and I understand Jimmy because Jimmy came up under Tom Thibodeau and he's older. Him not going 100% every regular season game, I can understand a little more. But there's another side of that. That's your leader. That's your best player. And they set the tone. And so now you have everybody coming out against the Wizards. and everybody coming out against the depleted Grizzlies just half-assing.
Yep.
And those 2 games probably land you a 5th seed, and you're chilling right now. And going against probably Orlando, who you can beat easily, or the Cavs you can beat easily. But you threw those games away because you figured you could make another run because everybody would just turn the switch on. And we talked about kind of all season. That switch is not guaranteed. Right. Granted, Jimmy did look very good before he got injured, but he got injured. And so it ended up all being for nothing. And now you're stuck in this position where you're begging for Tyler Hero or Bam Adebayo to do something. They haven't really been asked to do a whole lot just to get you into the playoffs to go against a dominant Boston Celtics team. And so it's like, man, you wasted the season. I understand injuries mattered, and that was important. That was the biggest thorn in their side this year. And that was the biggest reason they weren't as good as they should have been. But even still, you have to take those games you're supposed to take. You can drop 1 or 2, but you got to just take the game serious. Or like Frankie said, after a while, the basketball guys are going to punish you. Even these other years where they coasted through the season, how did it end up? Injury. So it's like, man, it's injuries. I understand, hurt them, but a lot of it is also on them. And now they're in this position where they could end up disappointing a whole lot of people. But I'm gonna go to Lou now because I can rant about this for 20 more minutes.
No, absolutely, and even with everything that you guys are saying, it was a 1-point game, and let's be realistic. I don't do the referee talk because I think that's irrelevant. But
it evens out, anyways.
It evens out.
Yeah, it was bad overall.
Shit calls.
Yeah, but what I will put blame on is Miami lost by 1 point and they blew about 6 fast breaks.
Yeah.
That's the difference in the game. And I was tweeting it during as it was happening. I was like, they're up 10. They should be up 22 right now. Like, I'm counting the breaks that they're messing up. 3-on-1s, 3-on-2s, 4-on-2s, 2-on-1s. And even the ones they're making, it's like you saved it because we grabbed an offensive rebound. But they didn't get their best game. Credit to Philly for adjusting in the second half. Miami zone, Eric Spoelstra came out, and the combination of DeLon and Highsmith at the top of the zone absolutely just shut down the Sixers offense in the second quarter in particular. And the Sixers adjusted in the second half, and Miami didn't. The zone overstayed its welcome, in my opinion. And, things started getting a little messy, and they gave up in the second half against Philly. I believe it was something like 66 points. Like, after giving up a mere 39 in the first half. Like, just a lot of things that could have been done better. A lot of credit to Philly, to Batum specifically. I know everybody's going to talk about his offensive, 20 points, but talk about defense, man. Yeah. Jesus, man. It's been now 4 games during just the course of this season where he's literally shut down the Heat's primary offensive target. And some of those matchups, it was obviously Duncan, who they were trying to get open, and he just did not let him breathe. And, to be honest, yesterday it was everybody, whether it was Jimmy in the half court, he was giving him a tough time. Whether it was Tyler, he was giving him a tough time. It was, Batum showing up for the team made a huge difference in a night where you can tell Embiid wasn't fully himself. And in a night where Maxey was struggling, but credit to Maxey because defensively, like Frankie said, he was just hounding off the ball. Yeah. And now Philly is going to, obviously go into the more favorable of the 2 matchups against the New York Knicks. And that should be a very entertaining series. One where I don't like either team, but I do like the Knicks players a lot better.
I like the Knicks players, but I want the Knicks team.
Brunson's undeniable.
I love Brunson. I love Josh Hart. DiVincenzo's been sensational this season as well. Like OG's been incredible. Hartenstein,
Miles McBride.
Yeah, Deuce. Like, but it's gonna be a fucking interesting series. 2 battles of, the Maxey versus Brunson matchup is gonna be a real thing. OG is gonna get put on just about everybody, like maybe even Maxey. And it's gonna be a hard fought fight between 2 coaches that are Very good defensively in Thibs and Nurse. So it's gonna be a battle. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and I just want to real quick before we move on to the next Heat thing, because there is one more Heat thing about the fast breaks, and we've all been saying for years, Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the NBA. I don't think that's disputable, but he is also very stubborn. Yep. And like this Heat offense, we look at the numbers and how bad the offense is. So much of that is just based on them just playing way slower than they need to.
Mm-hmm.
And look, like I said, Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the NBA. I don't know better than he does. So I'm not going to sit here and like bang on my table and break my setup and be like, he needs to do this. But when you have by far the fastest big in the NBA and you're going against a Joel Embiid who's never conditioned in the first place, he's killed over the whole game. They have your center bottled up. And like, you can't get anything going off offensively, and Embiid's he's coming off an injury, and he still looks hurt. Pick the pace up. But it's not even like right now it's kind of late because you didn't get those reps all season. And so now when you do force these turnovers, you have no idea what to do. And it's just like you've kind of blown it in that sense because you're running this offense that just makes no sense for the personnel. I understand you want to get Jimmy involved, and Jimmy is a very slow, methodical type guy. But Nikola Jokic is playing a ton of minutes. You have this 6'10", 6'11", just super skilled like player where he's developing fast, and credit to him. But his biggest strength is still his vision in the open court. Use that.
Yep.
So I don't get it, but.
Yeah, we talked about this last night on the Heat Beat channel. If you guys want to look into more of our thoughts, but like I felt like most of their success and came off secondary transition, early offense. Tyler got Bam a lob in half court just because he attacked them early while they were still backpedaling and they weren't set, and it's stuff like that, like that exactly what you said, Kenny. Like they need to attack it early, and it's not just Nico. Like they have an underrated amount of good like hit ahead passers.
Yeah,
like Tyler had
for sure.
Kevin Love, obviously outlet passer, but Tyler, I honestly think Tyler's best passing attribute is his outlet passing.
Yeah.
His chest pass, he flings that shit and right in the hands. Bam gets overly aggressive with it sometimes. He had one of his turnovers was being over aggressive on a hit ahead to Nico. But it's, they have the talent, they can run, but it's just, I don't know, their fast break offense, when it's just in regular transition, something malfunctions on all of them.
Spacing on every single play. Everybody ended up at the rim at the same time.
Yeah. But it's also because none of them are shooters. Like that's right. There's too much duplication of skill sets or lacking critical ones. Namely in size and shooting ability and like overall two-way guys. Like we talked about this, they just don't have a two-way lineup, and that's one of their biggest faults. And once you lose Jimmy, it really gets downhill from there. Let's go to the next matchup.
Well, no, not yet, because we talked about Jimmy with losing Jimmy. What's next for them? Because it can be presumed like without Jimmy Butler, they're not getting very far. So where did he go beyond this?
This season?
Beyond off season, what should they be looking to do? I don't want to say it, so I'm not going to speak on it.
I'll say it because I think they should. I don't care if I'm probably going to get hated on. They need to explore what life is without Jimmy Butler.
That's at Saucy Takes with
Saucy Takes with a Z at the end. And I hate when you suggest something like that and people say you're not a real fan, like you don't appreciate Butler. I appreciate Butler more than
going to Raptors, and I'm gonna be there.
Oh, I appreciate Butler more than every motherfucker who wants him here. Let me explain to you why. They have missed their window. This is no longer Jimmy's window. It's done. They don't have the assets to acquire what they should acquire. That should have been done already. Did they fuck up? Absolutely. They probably should have done something earlier. I stand by that. I agree with that. However, Jimmy's not getting any younger, and this team isn't getting much better considering they're in the first apron, considering this new CBA basically had 1.5 hands tied behind their back, and all they could do was talk now. It's just not going to work out for him. My ideal situation is if they do find a partner to move on, you send him somewhere where he can compete. Cough, cough, Memphis. And you try to get some players back, some role players of quality, maybe a first-round pick, some swaps, maybe some seconds. Just a combination of players that can match salary that you might be, able to flip later on, because the Heat are right now looking at their cabinets and they just moved in. It's empty. They got saltine crackers and 2 cans of tuna in that bitch. Like, they don't got nothing right now, man. Like, they're cooking with nothing. So they got to refill the cupboard. And the way for you to refill the cupboard is the only way you can go purchase something, AKA draft picks, is selling your best player, and selling the best player who's not going to fit your time. He's the only guy in the Heat beyond, like, in that age range that is going to be here for sure next year. Cause Love is, he has a player option. We don't know what's going to happen with Love, but fuck it. At Saucy Takes. There you go.
I'm a preface, and I'm really not going to even get into it because realistically, I don't think it's going to happen anyway.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But
it's not going to happen, so I'm not going to get too into it. But I just do think you mentioned a little bit. Jimmy's 34, and the Heat have kind of kept the young players around for a reason. When you look at Tyler Hero only being offered when it's a superstar involved, when you look at even just the marketing of stuff with Tyler and Bam always doing their press conferences together. Like, you kind of figure what they've known what their next build is for a while now. And it's kind of approaching that time because with Jimmy Butler's style of play, and again, I don't want to see Jimmy go. That's more of an emotional thing. Yeah. That's why I can't be like a like a cutthroat businessman, because I don't want to see Jimmy go. And so I'm personally like, and this, I know how dumb this is, but I don't care. I feel like you let Jimmy stay and you pay him whatever he wants and you deal with it later. I'm fully aware of how dumb of a decision that is, but
yeah.
The feels are the feels, but I just feel like if I'm a cutthroat businessman, Jimmy is 34. You're already just trying to manage him through the regular season every year and ending up in these situations where you're in a tougher spot with a lower seed than you really should be and than what your talent suggests. And everybody else on the team is young. You know what I mean? Like, you got, I don't know if Tyler Hero's still going to be there, but based on the stuff they've held him out of, you can probably presume. Bam, for sure, they've been calling him the next face of the franchise since before he started really playing real minutes. So he's not going anywhere. And Jimmy's body, he has a style of play to where his body's going to break down. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be just old age where his muscles are kind of sore. It's his whole style of play is, I'm going to get to the basket. I'm going to bully you. I'm going to get beat up. I'm going to beat you up. And that's going to really, like, put some wear and tear on him. And we look at this season, he's had his least efficient season in a while now. So that's kind of concerning. Obviously, he started this game off well, but you don't know. You can't really base where he is now on one quarter. And like I said, I don't want to say it. And I don't think it's going to happen, and I don't really necessarily want it to happen. But if I'm a cutthroat businessman, I think that's the option you go. But I'm not a cutthroat businessman, so keep Jimmy. But Frankie,
to go back to Lou's cupboard analogy, he said, "Damn, bitch, you live like this." I just think they need to pick a direction and, like, quick. Yeah. If they're gonna go with Jimmy with the years, he's obviously eligible for for an extension. They need to be honest with themselves and with Jimmy, and they need to, I get Jimmy. Why would he take less if they're not going to get him more help, mm-hmm. and they haven't gotten him more help? But I also get the Heat where, like, you're third. We've already gave you a big extension on top of the contract you already got. You already don't play every game. You miss 15 to 20 games a year, as is. You bullshit another 15 because you're saving yourself, as you say, for the playoffs. But then you get injured in the playoffs every year too. So, like, it's hard to, like, build around that as is. So, like, there's some serious conversations. Like, both sides have a point, and they have to come to an agreement quick Otherwise, move on and do the best you can. I want to keep going to go like one real freaking swing at it, because I felt like this whole time the like Lou said, the windows closed and they haven't. Last year I got so mad because they responded to Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday going and picks going to Boston with Drew Smith and fucking and I love Josh Richardson, but Josh Richardson and Thomas Bryant, like that was their big additions. Jaime Jaquez was a rookie. Like he's a solid player, but he wasn't going to be the difference between a championship and not. And that was my thing. Like they needed to like make some swings of things. Like Terry Rozier, I like him. He's a nice player, but he's not enough. He's not good enough for what they need to carry the offense, carry the load, and really take pressure off. And then it happens. He doesn't even get available. Like it's not his fault. Injuries happen. Whatever. But like I just want a direction. Like if you're gonna, like Lou said, if you're gonna go, if you're gonna sell for the first time in Heat history, like that, I think the last time they got a pick in a trade was the Shaq to Toronto deal. Like to go to show you that. No, the Shaq. I mean, not Shaq. Sean Marion to Toronto.
Oh yeah.
Jermaine O'Neal. That's the O'Neal I was thinking of. But that was the last. I think that was the last time they got a first round pick back in a trade.
Man,
and what a better way to start than this year.
And like they need to pick a direction because, like you said, they got young talent, but they don't have enough good or potentially great young talent. I like Nico, I like Jaime, but like it's going to take a lot for them to get to that level. I don't think Bam or Tyler are those kind of offensive players. They're good players. I think Bam's a great player on one end and a solid player on the other end, but you need great offensive talent as well.
Yeah, and then with Tyler's play style, it's kind of like he's developing as a playmaker, but it's still a lot of jump shots, which I don't have a problem with. If you're like, if there's a yin and a yang with like a Jimmy Butler who's going to get to the basket.
Yeah.
And so
he can't be your primary scorer in that kind of play style.
If you're going to be a jump shooter and
you got to be Steph Curry.
Curry, you got to be KD, you got to be one of those.
And still Curry got to the
and everybody knows I'm higher on Tyler Hero than most people, but just jump shots is just there's too much variance with jumpers.
Yeah.
So you have to really
you need something that you can rely on
around a basket or
getting to the line, getting to the rim, those kind of things.
And
shoot as much as you want. If you can get those two things, you can guarantee yourself 7, 8 plus free throws a game and get to the rim 10 times, 12 times a game.
Yeah.
By all means, man, pull up 10 threes.
Yeah, and he is 24, he is developing, and he is one of those players to where if he gets a credit or not, he comes back every year with something new.
For sure. He gets better every year.
He does, for sure.
But if we're talking about like starting over right now, I don't think you're going to have to bring in somebody better than both him and Bam. And I just don't.
And contract wise, like, Lou mentioned Jimmy's contract, but it's also they like even if they keep Jimmy and decide to go with Jimmy and Bam and reshuffle, they pretty much have to move on from two of Duncan, Tyler, and Terry just because they're over the apron already, and they're losing Caleb, Highsmith. All likelihood they lose at least one of them, probably both. Yeah. But they need talent. I would keep Highsmith
for sure. And to Frankie's point, like they're already like $6 million away from the cap next year, and that's without signing their first overall pick or their first round pick, their second round pick, and having 5 empty roster spots on top of those two guys. It's like you're going to be a second apron team. How much truly can you improve with all the new restrictions? So I know it's a cutthroat approach. Look, man, in life, you got to make tough decisions. And again, I don't feel like it's that tough of a decision. You pay Jimmy Butler his due diligence. You send him somewhere like Memphis, who can compete for a title next year, who's maybe a small forward away, where he doesn't have to be the first, second option. I'm just saying.
He can rest while the other guys can carry the load.
Yeah, he can rest while everybody else carries the load. They're not breaking up the team to bring him. They're not splitting their young core up. They're trading ancillary pieces. I don't know, man. Miami, Pat Riley, if you need any help, man.
Man, if
Yeah,
that happened,
let me know. Lou's talking about this. I came up with the trade idea.
We did. We spent like 2 hours yesterday trying to figure this shit out.
Man, if that happens, that's gonna be an emotional tribute video.
For sure, man.
You know, this is all funny because the Heat are going to win tomorrow. They're going to win. They're
Sweep
going to beat the
the-
Celtics, and Jimmy's going to be real fresh for the NBA Finals.
It's gonna be a long episode. Lakers versus Pelicans. Zion Williamson went out.
Man.
I love the play in, but man, it's just this is the risk you take. Jimmy's out, Zion's out.
Yep.
Zion was having one of the greatest games of his career, and just complete dominance, like a complete scary job. Like because the way BI and CJ folded,
what was CJ doing?
That's what they were yelling at the CBA negotiations.
No, it was a watching Zion do things that you don't see somebody do, and he does them every possession is fucking, it's mind-boggling. His level of body control, composure, touch at the rim, secondary, like his ability to get a second jump quicker than everybody, power, finesse, like all these things in a 6'5" guy who's playing like he's playing the four, you know, and it's just crazy, man. It's ridiculous. And credit the Lakers said, you guys are not shooting threes. You guys are not shooting threes. Everything will go through Anthony Davis in the paint.
Yeah.
And Zion said, who? Anthony Davis is a fucking depoy candidate year after year, and he should be. But Zion did not give a fuck, man. It was so dominant, and I'm so upset that that he's missing the next play in game 2 with the hamstring. If this man's health ever stays where, oh man, like talk about the NBA robbing us of just one of the craziest talents in the league. His season high in rebounds was 12, which by the way, Zion, that's kind of crazy. He had 11 rebounds in the third quarter. Like, and just literally willing this offense was so anemic outside of him. The only person I was screaming at my TV when BI and CJ McCollum were in the game, every play I was like, what are they doing? What are they doing? What are they doing? Because it was kill clock, contested fadeaway mid-range jumper. I'm like, the Lakers are taking threes on the other end, and these guys are settling for contested twos over the likes of, you know, Davis and Hachimura, et cetera. And I'm like, come on, man. And then Trey Murphy comes in the game. Jose Alvarado comes in the game. And they're like, Zion, they came to play, first of all. Alvarado never questioned his will to win. A fucking menace. But him and Trey Murphy, man, watching Trey Murphy, somebody who obviously Kenny's extremely high on, with right reason, I would do a lot of things to see him in a Heat jersey. So just watching him at that young of an age, pulling from 35 feet in transition to 6'8", while he's, you know, not a slouch on the defense.
I know exactly what play.
Yeah, on a 2-for-1, and he took the shot, and I was watching it in my house. Everybody's like, "Why?" I'm like, "That's a great shot," and then it goes in. I'm like, "That's a better shot," because they needed it. Like they were thirsting for some kind of outside shooting. He came in, he provided timely shots. When Zion went out and he was the only one in the game, the drive by with the floater finished a tough, like, you know, putting the ball on the deck and getting to the basically almost the rim and finishing over AD. It's little things like that. Unfortunate that they lost, but Zion is my biggest takeaway was, damn, Zion looks good. Like, holy fuck. Everything I saw at Duke when he was in Duke and people were putting RJ Barrett and Nasir Little. I will never forget that over Zion. Ridiculous. But
you mean Cam?
No, they didn't put Cam over. That'd be crazy too.
No, this is height before he went to Duke.
Oh yeah. Before Duke, yeah, they did. Yeah, but I was watching his dominance. And this is gonna sound like a crazy comparison. The only way I can compare it is he is this era's version of Shaq. And that's going to sound outlandish in his own way, obviously. Like I'm not, their play styles are different, but just players that are so utterly physically dominant where there should be no way in hell that they're running that fast, jumping that high, moving that quick, accelerating, bursting. And it's like, where he's going, yet they couldn't stop him. Like it was crazy.
No, and he's underrated skill wise too.
Yeah.
For sure.
He's one of the best passing forwards in the league.
Bro, he is so good at running the offense. His passing game at the elbow, he can run pick and roll. And his footwork, his balance, like it's his touch around the rim. Like it's not just on dunks. It's not just on, bodying people. He does it a lot of different ways around the rim.
Speed for somebody that big.
And no, but he's extremely talented. I just want him to get some good fortune and reevaluate some conditioning concerns. Obviously, I don't want to go at length about that. We've talked about it before, but just take care of your body a little better, Zion. I want to see you hoop. I want to see you healthy. Yes. I want to see you play, bro. You are too talented. I don't want you to be a what if, a hope. I don't want you to be Grant Hill, Brandon Roy, and not to say that those guys weren't taking care of themselves, but I don't want you to be somebody we remember in that aspect. Take care of your body and let's get to your full potential. You are Zion has top 5 potential in the league.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
If he stays healthy for sure. 100%.
Yeah.
Getting a taste of him in a playoff environment was addictive. I can only liken it to what Pablo Escobar was doing with cocaine, I guess. I don't know. But
so I do want to say real quick about Zion before we move on to the Lakers, because they did win. I don't want to skip over.
But
so we had an episode earlier where we talked about Zion where everybody was getting him for his weight, and me and Lou were both unsure whether he should really lose that much weight because of the strength advantage it gives him.
Right.
And so our whole lives, definitely Lou's whole life, because I was watching basketball a little bit before LeBron came into the league. It's always been, you don't want to take a charge on LeBron. You don't want to take a charge on LeBron. Nobody wants to take a charge on LeBron. Y'all know exactly what play I'm bringing up.
Oh
It was a charge. To see LeBron James get lifted off his feet like that.
A good 6-8 inches too.
Just crazy. And he hurt his wrist, so we don't want to make fun of injuries. So that's not the part we're talking amazed about. But it's if you get LeBron James off the floor like that,
he looked dainty. That's Zion made him look dainty.
That's freak of nature, LeBron James, crazy. But the Lakers did win. They got the Nuggets next. Rest in peace. But what can they do possibly, do y'all think, to kind of stand some kind of chance?
Real quick, I just want to shout him out a little bit about the game. Because D'Angelo absolutely hooped, man.
Especially first half,
yeah. He was in control of that game. Super efficient game for him. 21 points, 5-11 from 3, plus 16 team high in a game they won by 4. Gabe Vincent, that's our guy from Miami. Battled, has had so many injuries this season. Such shooting woes. Sorry, I got some. Burp, edit this out. 18 minutes, gave him 18 good minutes on the floor. Scrambled, deflections, 9 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 2 of 4 from 3. That's what they signed Namdi for. Taurean Prince defended and had to because he's got fucking Zion at times. Rui did a great job on both ends. 13 points, 5 of 6. That's exactly what you want your role players to do. I'm giving you 6 shots, hit 5 of them bitches. And LeBron and AD, they struggled shooting from the field, but they got to the line, and that's what you want your stars to do when their shots aren't falling. Get to the line 20 times, hit 18 of them bitches. And you'll end up having a good, efficient enough. You'll end up scoring enough.
And the thing about Gabe Vincent, man, and there's a reason he's the guy I wanted back in Miami, even though they probably shouldn't have in hindsight, they should have gave him that money probably. But he's one of those players to where if you miss the game and you're not familiar with what's going on and you check the box score, you'll probably be like, man, this guy sucks. But if you actually watch the game, and you don't care about the box score like I do most times, you'll at times be like, this is the most impactful player on the floor right now.
Yeah, just winning play after winning play.
Yeah.
And it's funny because
you got that from Kyle.
Probably, honestly. But the entire time during the regular season, Laker Twitter just completely dismissing him. And as soon as he comes back, he's not even like fully up to speed. And, you know, Darvin trusted him over Dinwiddie, trusted him over Cam Reddish, who's been there all year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Reddish was a little hurt, but like he trusted him with 18 minutes in a do or die game for them. And he pulled through. LeBron played, you know, controlled. I think the difference in the game was the Pelicans' inability to have a true point guard. We can talk about how good Zion was running the floor, but he was the only one really initiating, and the second guy doing that was Alvarado. But like they just didn't have, like the Lakers had three guys who can calm them down and get them into sets with Braun, Russell, and Reeves, honestly. And the Pelicans didn't really, like when it got to half court, it got a little muddy.
And you know what? And with us being Miami Heat fans, we see this firsthand every year. But with the positionless basketball thing to where now your four can initiate, your three, whoever it is, they can initiate, that's fine. But the downside to it is there's so much more that goes into being a point guard than setting the play up and making the correct pass. Yeah. There's managing the pace of the game. There's managing, like, there's being the coach on the floor. There's
when to call, who to pick on.
Yeah, who hasn't gotten a shot in a while that needs a shot, who's hot right now and needs the ball again. When you notice, like, whether it's the Heat, whether it's the Pelicans, they lose on momentum a lot of times. And it's because they don't have a guy on the floor who can make those reads. Not reads just like, all right, pick and roll, this player went over here, this player went over here, hit him. It's like reading the game, reading the pace of the game, reading the momentum of the game, the rhythm of the game.
Yep.
That's what's starting to come up missing in the league because we've gone away from the quote-unquote pure point guard for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and I want to give Golden State credit for opening the floodgates up with that. But Draymond Green is a point guard in that sense. He plays power forward, I understand, but he reads those things. And so now you have a bunch of guys around the league at these different positions who have the passing ability, have the ball handling ability, can make reads, but those intangible things are all still missing. And like I said, their teams end up losing on momentum a lot of times because the teams lack that. But y'all are about to mention what the Lakers can possibly do to match up with Denver. I don't think they have a shot, but you never know.
I think it's rough. Denver, I just think that Denver's a damn machine. Like, obviously, like they're not unbeatable, but they're just so well coached. I think Mike Malone is the most underrated coach. If you don't respect him because of Jokic, like you're not paying attention. Oh, yeah. He has his floor spacing, the counters. They have everything ready. Like there's no answers for Jokic. Obviously, Jokic has a lot to do with it. Like he is the master key in this in their offense. He unlocks everything. But like they can throw Jamal Murray at you. They can throw Aaron Gordon at you. They throw KCP at you, and he's first team all defense level defender and can hit 6 threes in a game and get you some fast break points. MPJ can go off like crazy. It's just extremely tough.
Yeah,
one of the most perfect starting lineups possible in the league, and like I think you hope for some guys to underperform on their end. You really try to mix up as many coverages as possible on Jokic. Try to take him out of the game. I also say like try to attack him, get him in foul trouble. Try to
because he's going to take a frustration foul too.
Yeah, exactly. He's always going to take one and get a tech or something. Like try to get into his head a little bit. I don't know it's. I haven't seen like I've watched a lot of Denver over the years, and I'm just like, man, like what's the answer? What's the real answer as this team slowly starts perfecting himself? Like there were so many years where it was Jamal Murray. Just wait, if he's healthy, like they have a chance.
Yeah.
And once they got Aaron Gordon, it's been pretty much that. Just wait.
Yeah.
If he's healthy, they have a chance. And I don't wish injuries on anybody, but that's pretty much the only way I can see that team go down.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because obviously Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA. I will say, and there's no bias here, but we've seen the numbers. Nobody in the NBA as of late guards Jokic better than Bam Adebayo. And what he does, he just fronts him and tries to prevent him from getting the ball in the post in the first place. And that helps. The problem is once the Nuggets realize that, and Mike Malone is great at making adjustments quick. All right, you know what? We're going to prevent that. Jokic, you're bringing the ball up. Inverted pick and roll with whoever. If it's Jamal Murray, rest in peace. But inverted pick and roll with somebody. Stick Aaron Gordon in the dunker spot, and now you're in hell again. So
yeah,
there's nothing but
you gotta have the personnel, man.
Yeah. I don't think the Lakers can win. If I was a betting man, I would not bet that. But
right.
I will say, last year they got swept. D'Lo didn't play the best, so that should be, thing number one. D'Lo has to play better, and I believe he will. They have to against the Pelicans. You saw some of LeBron's age showing, specifically in the half court. He's so much better in transition when he's on the break. He's still a one-man fast break. So get LeBron out in transition, run a little bit, try to beat Denver down the floor. And Denver is actually the team that attempts the least amount of three-pointers. So if you can get into like a math equation against them where you're shooting and hitting more threes, you're getting to the line because, obviously the Lakers get to the line more than anybody. So if those two things start going in your way a little bit and you're able to almost like win the little things is what I'm trying to get at, because we know what Denver is going to do offensively. Jokic is going to eat in the paint regardless of who's there. If Aaron Gordon gets anybody nowhere like near his strength level, he's going to eat there too. And if Jamal Murray gets going, he's going to eat too. Like it's going to be tough to stop. It's just you're going to try to beat him at all the little things and see if you can out hustle your way to a victory and outshoot your way to a victory.
Yeah. And so here's the thing.
4 times, by the way, in 7 games.
I don't see that happening. But here's the thing, right? Because if you're gonna, and that is the best option as far as Denver's defense, just make Jokic run back and forth. But one, your transition defense has to be incredible, because if you're gonna pick up that pace and you're gonna let him be able to find guys in the open court, you're gonna be stuck there. But also the part nobody really looks at, and so I wouldn't be able to blame anybody for kind of overlooking it, because Phoenix is, I think it was last playoff, their game plan was to make Jokic run. And it worked for a while, but the game was in Denver and they have home court advantages. So your conditioning has to be, you had to have had prepared for that all season long, because it's kind of a Muhammad Ali rope-a-dope thing to where like you can do that for half a quarter maybe, but then you tire yourself out. And now they're so sharp offensively and you're struggling to keep up. Now you missed your man cutting back door and there was a lob. And now you're not coming off these, you're not getting over and under these screens as hard because you're tired and you're out of breath and you've been getting hit by these screens all game and it's wearing and tearing on you. And now it's the middle of the third and you're getting blown out anyway. Like Denver is just an impossible team. I just man, they're an impossible team to deal with. So
yeah,
good luck to the Lakers, because I doubt this is LeBron last year, but we're trying to savor this as much as possible because he is 39. His son's trying to get into the NBA now. Like it's a whole thing. So, and he has nothing to prove. So it's we want to savor this stuff, but man, Denver is just too elite. Kings and Warriors. That game's not even worth talking about.
Real quick though. Yeah. Do we have any belief in the Pels against the Kings with Zion's injury?
No, I don't at all. I think the Kings are just a little too sharp. Well, granted, they're also missing Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter, but the Pelicans without Zion, it's going to be tough. A lot. It's going to be up to CJ and BI. And they've started to build reputations for themselves as far as this time of year. And so you'd be kind of betting on them to like go against the grain on that. And I don't know. I really don't know.
It's going to be a tough game because BI needs to be better than what he was. The Kings against Golden State, they were fucking hitting on all cylinders. Not just offensively. We're going to talk about the games here, but like just Keon Ellis was that was the best defense I have ever seen on Steph Curry in my life. And he literally on the defensive side of the floor changed the flow of the game, pickpocketing Curry on like 2 or 3 straight possessions off of like no help, just isolation basketball, getting and like doing all the little things. Yes, I think the Kings should win the game, but at the same time, you know, I would feel a lot more comfortable about the Kings if they weren't the Kings. The Kings have been so up and down this year sometimes that they win one of these games and then they go out and lose the next 2 because you don't know what version you're getting. It helps Sabonis so much that he doesn't have to deal with the Zion rim pressure.
Yeah.
But it's going to basically, I think it's going to come down to how much can Herb slow down De'Aaron, because he's done a good job of that so far. And how much threes is Trey Murphy, BI, and CJ McCollum going to hit? Like, who's going to come out and fire? Because one thing Sacramento is going to do is they're going to get them shits up, especially from 3. Like, they shoot 5 seconds into the shot clock in half court. They're pulling from deep. Whether that's De'Aaron, Davion Mitchell for some reason is doing that too. No discredit to him, but like that's not really his game. And it's just like Keegan, obviously shooting from back there, and Trey Lyles, like everybody was just shooting. I was like, oh my, like
Keegan got 18 threes.
Yeah, Keegan got 13 up and he hit 8 of them. He looked incredible, man.
Yeah.
I was
go ahead.
No, every time I watch Keegan Murray play, I come away more and more impressed. And I'm coming away like, oh, I'm waiting for him to take that leap into he's a very good player. I'm waiting for him to go from very good to a star, like a legitimate, like you can build a franchise around this guy. Man, he can be your second best scorer or maybe even your first at some point. Because he was putting the ball on the deck, getting to wherever he wanted. Wiggins couldn't contain him. They tried to, throw different looks at him too. Clay couldn't move with him either. Like it was a tough game. But who do you have, Frankie?
That game was fun, man. Just seeing like how uncomfortable Steph was. Like I've never seen him look like that. It's crazy. Credit to Keon and the Kings coaching staff. Like just having, like for years it was, you can't let Steph beat you, but they will, like if you try to take Steph away, the rest of the Warriors will make you pay. Like if you let them play 4-on-3 basketball, they will make you pay for over and over and over again. And they couldn't. They had no answers, no response, no counters. They only hit 10 threes. They couldn't shoot the ball well. They couldn't get to the basket. They couldn't do anything correctly. They just looked like the end. And they need, we'll talk about this too, but they need to reshuffle. Clay, my guy.
Man,
somebody on Twitter said, you live long enough to see yourself become Harrison Barnes, and to have that game and to lose to Harrison Barnes. Oh, like so, I hope Clay has another shot in a Warriors uniform because he can't go out like that, my guy.
So real quick, obviously you never root for injuries. Injuries are a thing to mourn. Injuries suck, right? Sometimes there are silver linings, though. Yeah. And Keon Ellis has been exactly what the Sacramento Kings have needed for the past couple of years. As far as the defense, the offense is potent enough. We know that. We know how that's going to go. But they've needed a lockdown defender in that way. You wanted to be Davion Mitchell. Granted, he is an incredible defender, but he is very small. Yeah, Keon Ellis just really brought it. And I do want to bring up something that my co-host on the Chase Thomas podcast, Corbin Ford, brought up because he was watching the game while we were recording on his other screen. I'm not going to speculate on anything, right? But Klay Thompson, while everybody was leaving, Klay Thompson did go back onto the court, according to what Corbin said, because we were still recording. Yeah. And he kind of took a lap and just kind of soaked it all in, it seemed like, before he joined everybody else in the locker room. Mm-hmm. And so maybe we see Klay Thompson back with the Warriors, maybe we see him in another uniform, but there's probably a chance he just goes ahead and says it's kind of it.
Yeah, actually, while we were recording this, Draymond says he expects Golden State to have a huge shakeup. So
Draymond will not. He was on his podcast, wasn't he?
Probably. I don't know. I saw it on my Bleacher Report. But and it, if you saw their cap situation, like we looked at potential trade partners yesterday, that shit is so rough, man. You thought the Heat were bad. Yikes. That team is real down bad. But Keon, just to tilt back to your point about Keon real quick, man. What a fucking I
love defenders too.
Oh, so. I came across him last year. For real, I really came across him last year in the G League. Mm-hmm. Not in the G League, during the summer league. I was watching the Kings games, and I was just every time he played, I was like, damn, man, if somehow Miami can get their hands on this fucking guard, because he can shoot and he can play defense. It's not like the Marcus Garrett, the Briante Weber experiment, the Norris Cole experiment, where they're too small and they can't really shoot too. He's a different kind of defender. Super quick hands, and he was rebounding the ball offensively, getting tap out, doing all the little things, to your point, like you said, what they've been missing. We know this team can burn on the offensive side of the floor. You don't need to be a scientist to know that. But he gives them a complete different dynamic, and he gives them somebody they were hiding De'Aaron Fox on Draymond Green the whole game.
Yeah.
Or on Wiggins, which we'll get to that another day. But Keon was he was guarding Curry every possession down the floor, and forced him to 6 turnovers. I'm not even talking about the points. Curry got his at some point, but 6 turnovers, that kind of shit wins you and loses you a basketball game. And 3 steals. I think he had 2 blocks. Maybe he had 3 blocks. I don't remember now. But just everywhere.
Yeah. And so what do y'all think that shakeup is, though, in Golden State? I don't see Draymond being back after all the trouble he's caused. Unfortunately, I just don't know where he goes. He obviously, he's still a great defender. He's not the defender he used to be, but he can contribute to a team. But if Klay is not going to be there, that kind of takes away from what Draymond brings, and he's just so much of their season. And again, I love Draymond. He's one of my favorite players, despite the fact he doesn't score, but everybody knows I love defense and I love passing. But so much of how bad their season has been him just missing games because of a lot of shit that had nothing to do with basketball and wasn't an injury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know what they're going to do, because they have 174 million committed, and a large portion of that is obviously Curry, but they also have the likes of Chris Paul. They got Trae for 3 more years, Wiggins for 3 more years. Gary Payton is on a $9 million player option. They got Kevon Looney. They have 2 team options on Kuminga and Moses Moody, both players who they should accept, because let's be honest, they're probably their best players in that Kings game. Especially Moody was fucking great. I don't know. I don't know what that team's gonna do. But the fall of the dynasty will forever be remembered. One of the greatest teams, one of the greatest stretches in sports history.
Mm-hmm. Now, before we go, it's going to be either Sacramento or it's going to be New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I know the answer to this, but which team do y'all feel like has a better shot against OKC? I don't think either one really does, but which one?
I think Sacramento, just they have that experience from last year, having that hard-fought battle in that series against Golden State. They're a little more experienced. Obviously, they were way more prepared this go-around in the play-in. But, they have I still take OKC over them, but I think Sacramento wins this game against New Orleans because of the lack of Zion. And I just feel like they're more prepared for this kind of moment. Like they realize their time is now. New Orleans has like a mix of like guys who should be their time now, but I think some of their guys are like miscast in like a tier too high, which happens a lot. We see it firsthand in Miami. So, like I'll take Sacramento in this game and OKC overall in the series. But it's a 1-game sample size. Anything can happen. Would not be surprised if New Orleans just found a way to get it done.
Yeah. Lou?
Yeah. I do think Sacramento is going to win as well. I don't think they're going to be OKC though. It's going to be it's going to be something to behold watching Shea versus Fox, Sabonis versus Chet, J-Dub versus Keegan. Like there's storylines on that series. It's it's players that you're looking across the floor, and the guy you're guarding is a guy you're in direct competition with. Mm-hmm. Somebody who's, as obviously nobody's saying Fox is better than Shea, but tell that to Fox. I bet I'll take that shit. J-Dub's been sensational. Tell that to Keegan. I bet you he's not going to take that shit either. And then you have, defensive specialists and Lou Dort and Keon Ellis going back and forth. And then you have the likes of Barnes and whoever they throw out at the 3, somebody who's been disregarded, Josh Giddey, who's been disregarded. They don't know how good he's going to be in a playoff setting. It's going to be a mash of similar play styles, honestly, because they're both teams that they like to get to the rim and shoot the ball a lot. Yeah. So it's going to be a super interesting matchup. I do think OKC will ultimately win, but I think that the Kings playing the 7 games last year and losing, and the extra 2 games this year, I think that's going to prep them in a way that they didn't get prepped last year because they automatically made it in, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. Like they're going to get their feet wet before they get into the playoffs because they've been in the playoffs. They have a 2-game head start in the playoffs. So I wouldn't be shocked if they go in like game 1 or game 2 and they split it with OKC.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to be like OKC in 6. I'm not making a prediction. I don't like making predictions, but it'll be something like that. But the only thing I think is going to kind of help is Chet has to really be preoccupied with Domantas Sabonis. Mm-hmm. So that may open other things up. Now, Chet is Chet, and we've talked a lot about his defense, and he'll still be able to get things done. He'll still be able to be that anchor, but I think him being preoccupied with Domantas Sabonis is going to open some things up. But again, OKC is just too good. I don't care about their age. It's just they're a complete team, and I think I don't want to say ready because ready would mean championship ready, and I'm not going to put them there yet because Denver exists. Yeah, but they're going to be a tough team to beat, man.
No, 100%. And OKC, like you said, like that, this is their first real year of like getting this far, and credit to them. They've had an awesome season. They're extremely fun to watch. But you don't expect, like we all don't expect them. Like if they do something now, like it'll be unprecedented. And it would be awesome to see because honestly, I don't want Denver to win again. But like it's probably not their time just yet, just being realistic. But Sacramento, like credit to them. Like I like having teams that go for it, that don't just tank. And they had a long stretch of not being good at all, being a joke of the league. And they credit to them for turning it around and being competitive. And they're really respectable. They're really fun to watch. De'Aaron Fox is awesome. Keegan Murray's made great leaps. And I don't like Sabonis. I'm just gonna say it. No, he's really talented, really fun to watch. Really awesome passer, incredible finisher around the rim.
Super strong too.
Super.
For as skinny as he looks, he's so much stronger.
And he has like great post moves inside, great touch around the rim, just to making sure he gets the contact and plays through the contact strong. Soft defensively, so like that's where they can take advantage of it, and like that's always going to be his Achilles heel until he fixes it, until he improves at it. But yeah, like that's something that they can absolutely they could absolutely give OKC a good run for their money, but I don't know about a whole series.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate because we're talking about these teams, and we have all this genuine interest in these teams, but everybody's just waiting to get slaughtered by Denver. The Bulls and the Hawks, again, not much to talk about. As far as the actual game goes, aside from it's crazy because like 2021, Trae Young was about to be my favorite player in the league, and it's just like I see Lou's face, and I know why, and I'm starting to agree. I don't know how much you can win with his play style.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, extremely talented, one of the best playmakers in the league, but the style of play itself, the chucking from 30 but not being Steph, it's kind of a lot sometimes. He improved defensively at one point, and then he had the injury and it kind of slipped, which I don't understand because it was a hand injury. Mm-hmm. Again, man, he's one of the best players in the league, but it's just like sometimes, and you see this a lot just looking at drafts and stuff, and you'll see a guy who Trae Young is kind of an example of, and this is going to sound so much meaner than I intend on being, but he's an example of how you look at a guy in college dropping 30 and dropping 40, and then he gets drafted very late in the draft or doesn't get drafted at all. And you wonder how's that happened, but it's just like NBA teams are looking to win. And as incredible as you are, I just don't know how much you'll be able to actually contribute to that.
Mm-hmm.
And the Hawks have to make a decision because this backcourt doesn't work. And we could have seen from the very beginning that the backcourt wouldn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And the team is, I don't want to say so much better, but they're still not a good team regardless. But Dejounte Murray, I think, is an overall better player. Now, his defensive reputation is a lot better than his actual defense is as of late.
For sure.
But there's still something there. The playmaking, Trae Young is one of the best playmakers in the league, but when you give Dejounte Murray the ball, it's not like he's a slouch himself. It's just, yeah, man. Go ahead, Lou, because you're not a fan of Trae Young. I was at one point, but I'm kind of giving up.
No, I don't want to say I'm a hater. I've just never been high on Trae Young. It's tough for a small guard to be the best player on a team. So I'm not making an excuse for him. It's tough for a small guard to be the best player on a winning team. Let me rephrase that. You could be the best player. You're just going to be like the Hawks are, though. But it's the inefficiency offensively coupled with the just how turnover prone he is.
Yeah, you can't still be doing that. It's one of the best
and bad on defense. I came on this platform and I gave him props because he was improved on defense. That still didn't mean he was good.
Yeah.
He was still a below average defender. He was just trying more. The effort's nice, but there's certain things he's not going to overcome. What he can overcome is his shot selection at times. It's really, really bad. And his ability to feel like he can make every single pass on the floor at risk, though. It contributes to 500 basketball, and that 500 basketball isn't winning you a fucking championship.
Yeah. Right.
Can you hide him? Can he win a championship eventually? Yes. You better have a team around him that can cover up for all his his weaknesses, defense, and his ability to turn the ball over and stuff like that. But Dejounte gives this team an identity, one that they don't have with Trae Young. I think their decision has been made for them already. Are they going to actually follow through with it? Do they have the balls to do it? But realistically, there's no way they both should be on this team again next year. And if they do, I'm not even a Hawks fan, but I'd feel disrespectful if I was, because we've seen this now for 3 years, about to go 4. It's not like it's not like you don't have options at this position where Trae is at. You can play Bogdanovich there. No issue. I'm not saying he's a point guard, but you slide Murray to the point guard, you play Bogdanovich at the 2. All of a sudden you have size, and Bogdanovich we know who Bogdanovich is, especially offensively, but he's also 6'6", a decent defender. They drafted Coby White last year. My guy, got to give him a shout out. You have some things that you can look forward to. They drafted AJ Griffin 2 years ago. They have not played him for some reason. Like it's they're in a similar situation. The difference is they haven't made it to the finals like Miami has. Like, make a decision at this point, man. Are you going to go with the future? Are you going to go with right now? Figure it out, because you're trying to sell your fans on one thing when it's not there. Like, you know, you're just lying to them.
And so what? I guess I could call it the public. What people are kind of pushing for and want is for Trae Young to end up in San Antonio with Wemby. And that's not a team that's going to win anyway. But I do think that is something they will probably need, because I talked earlier in the episode about point guards and it not just being about passing and reading the actual play, but reading the rhythm of the game. And it's just, man, Trae Young just doesn't have any of that. It's like your team has no momentum right now. None of your guys are in rhythm, and you're taking a heat check after you've made one shot. And it's like, that's not the thing to do right now.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just, and he's impossible because he's such a good, skilled player, right? He can kind of get away with the low IQ stuff. And he's on a team where he's the star, he's the face of the franchise, the city loves him and all that, but he's not with an organization, and they have a very good coach, but he's not with an organization that's going to really sit him down and like have him cut that shit out.
Yeah.
And so if
they've kind of enabled him.
Yeah, they've enabled him. And so I think if he ends up in, and I don't like hypotheticals, but if he does end up with Pop, there's something there. Pop has the pedigree. Pop isn't really going for the bullshit. So, but people forget, DeMar DeRozan is incredible of a playmaker he is now. He got that in San Antonio. Those teams were bad, so nobody was paying attention. But look, Pop is still a great teacher, regardless of how the Dejounte Murray himself.
Yep.
They had their little personal issues, but he developed in San Antonio. That's still a very good organization, despite where they've been in the standings as of late. So something has to change in Atlanta. And we talked about the Heat having to make a tough decision. That's because Trae Young is the face of that team, and he's kind of the face of that city as far as sports right now.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to make the basketball decision, I think DeJounte Murray's kind of just ran away with that.
Yeah, it's just it's tough because, like you said, like they drafted Trae, he's the homegrown guy, the all-star, face of the franchise. But like, you know, you have to make some kind of decisions. Like that's why so many people questioned it at the times, because it wasn't a seamless fit. Like that made sense. Like there was going to be adjustment, and like what was the upside on, like when was the last time the two best players were the backcourt? Like you need size, you need versatility, and you know, you're asking two guys who are on ball guys to share it, and neither guy was good off ball. Right. And Trae was, you know, numbers wise, he could perform on ball, but like what was real and you know, like the credit to, like I want to give Trae a little more credit, because he did have really good offenses, and he was largely the catalyst of that. But it became, you know, over the years, like they're able to scout him better. He hasn't gotten more disciplined. He hasn't gotten improved enough in his scoring and his efficiency. Like that's stuff that you want to see by this point of his career. And he, you know, he's that guy that he plays like people think Steph plays, but you know, they don't pay attention to Steph when he's shooting those threes. He's balanced on every shot. He
has all the intangibles Steph has.
Yes. You know, Trae's shooting 35 footers, but off balance, and not because he has space. Like Steph was like, "Oh, I caught you. You slipped up," and Trae's like, "Oh, I'm gonna shoot this." Like that. He doesn't have that awareness, that processing, that like, oh, I need to get open, I need to get it clean. That's what's gonna help my efficiency. It's gonna cause the attention to get more on me. It's gonna open up the passing, open up the drive more. Like he's so good. Like in this game, he got 13 free throws. He's a really good shooter, but his inconsistencies, his undisciplinedness is what like separates his his talent, and he should be a much better player. And I just want to see some change on this. Like I want to see them break it up. And the trade that I thought they should have made at when they were trying to pair somebody with Trae was for Rudy, but that was I thought Minnesota should have made the Dejounte trade, but I mean it's worked out for Minnesota.
And Cat, that would be crazy. But yeah,
that's a little bit too much crazy. That's why.
That's exactly why.
So I think Conley's the right point guard for them. Yeah. But no, I totally, like, talent wise, I thought that and fit that made more sense for me at the time.
Man, and when we talk about point guards developing and improving over time, I'm getting kind of cold with the segues. I ain't gonna lie to you. Man, Coby White.
Yes, sir.
Going from 9.7 points per game last season, 2.9 rebounds, 2.9 assists, to 19.1 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 5.1 assists. Nobody saw this coming. He was kind of casted out as, I don't want to see people call him a bust, but he definitely wasn't living up to expectations. And he goes up and he drops 42 last night. And he's caught people's attention now because he did it on a national stage. He's been taking over games like that all season.
All season.
Yeah.
All season. And it's like, again, there's not much to talk about with that game itself. But if they rob him for most improved player to give it to Tyrese Maxey, who's already been really good, and you kind of knew he'd become this once James Harden was gone, I get it. That's why, man, awards season is coming soon, and I'm going to have a lot to say. But this needs to be Coby White's award to run away with.
For sure. Yeah, the way he just dominated this game. Like, we talked about Trae's lack of efficiency. Coby White, man, 42 points on 15 for 21 shooting. Like, that, it doesn't get much more efficient than that. And to top it off, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, no turnovers.
Zero.
Like, just fantastic. DeMar, team high, game high, plus 27. Just, so tough. And you mentioned DeMar's playmaking improvement, 9 assists, 1 turnover. Like, DeMar, I was not a fan of DeMar in Toronto. Mainly partly because he eliminated Miami in the playoffs, but I just wasn't a fan of his game. And ever since that San Antonio trip, his whole Chicago tenure, he's just been much more of an enjoyable watch for me personally. And he's improved immensely.
But Coby White, it's like, there's certain things I don't even know how you even work on in the offseason. His processing is just so quick now. He's making quick decisions. He used to shoot the Bulls out of games sometimes.
Yeah.
That doesn't have that. Yeah. To see him go from that to the complete opposite, to bringing them back into games and expanding their leads. And and I mentioned off air, I don't like the referee talk or conspiracy theory talk, but the calls were so one-sided against Chicago in this game, and it just ended up not mattering because of Coby White.
Yep.
And it's man, props to him, because like I said, he's a shoot them out of games. That doesn't happen anymore. He does the opposite. His processing is fast. The defense is improved. He is just this great all-around player, and the IQ is there. And I'm not calling him a better player than Trae Young. He's not there yet. But for him to be on the scoring chair he was on, and then he gets to the basket and he drops the pass off to, I think it was Javonte Green for the and one, while the team has all the momentum, and he can blow the roof off the building scoring there, and he does it, getting it to his teammate. That's the shit I'm talking about with the point guards, man. And that's reading the game, reading the momentum, and being unselfish, and just like, man, I got nothing but. And I like Coby White going into his draft too.
I loved him.
And so, he'd been proving me wrong in the wrong ways, and I'm just like, man. You got to pick it up, Coby. I'm looking bad. And now I'm so vindicated in it now because it's like, man, he's becoming everything I thought he would be coming out of UNC. And I'm just so fucking happy for that dude, man.
No, and Vucevic with a strong 24 points, 12 rebounds. Not super efficient, but like that presence inside. And credit to AO, bro. AO, the hometown kid, man. 19 points, 8 of 12 shooting. He deserves some MIP love because the kid's shooting hasn't improved immensely. He's legitimately a threat, always a defensive hound and pressure. And he plays off Caruso so well defensively. But, man, offensively, his game is really rounded into shape, and you see his confidence. And I love that kid.
And just speaking on, again, the silver linings, if Zach LaVine's in there, none of this, you don't see any of this. As Alonzo Ball's there, you definitely don't see any of this. And that's the thing, man. I mentioned earlier briefly about every NBA team has talent, regardless of what their record is. These players, if put in the position, they can thrive. And the Bulls had no choice but to empower Coby White. And now he's able to play through his mistakes. And he's able to not be in. I believe it might have been Jimmy. It was Jimmy Butler talking about. It was Rip Hamilton talking about Jimmy Butler when they were in Chicago, and everybody got hurt, and Jimmy had to play, and he was trying not to make mistakes. And Rip was like, "Dude, nobody can come in for you right now. Just fucking hoop." And Jimmy ended up becoming Jimmy. Similar thing in the same city on the same team. Funny enough, with Coby White. There's nobody that will replace him right now. And so he's able to play through his mistakes. And, man, confidence is such a huge thing in basketball. It just gets overlooked, right? Because you think these players are in the NBA, they're supposed to feel invincible, and that's not the case. They're playing for their livelihoods. And if you're on your rookie contract and you haven't performed, that may be it for you. And if it's not it for you, that could dictate the rest of your career as far as how much you get paid. Because you're 22 right now, but if you just play it safe and sign this 4-year contract for this little small amount, now you're about to be 26, 27 when you're up next. And the days of you being able to get that max contract might be kind of over because teams are going to be like, well, by the end of this contract, it's going to be in his 30s. We don't know where he's going to be. And so you're playing for a lot early on in your career. And so, man, your confidence is going to waver if you're not playing well and you're not getting an opportunity to redeem yourself. It's just, there's so much that goes into it people don't think about. And so, man, getting this opportunity, again, there's a silver lining. Obviously, you hate injuries. Injuries suck. The Bulls would be in a much better spot if they had Zach LaVine and Alonzo Ball. We're not talking about the play-in right now. We're talking about who they can match up with in the East, and they're probably a top seed, but I say all that to say credit to Coby White and IR Dosunmu for just taking full advantage of the opportunity. Because now, when these guys come back, if these guys come back, because now you have to keep empowering Coby White.
Yeah, there's no way. He started 74 games before this season, and he started 78 games alone this year. In 4 prior years, they were like, they weren't fully entrusting him, so he felt like he was kind of forcing shit. And, to your point, he's able to play through mistakes. I am so happy for him because he was one of my favorite players coming out of UNC when he did come out. Mm-hmm. His ability to play that fast and that, can tilt a defense. And now you're just seeing it full throttle, what he was able to do. It's crazy to me, a player who typically when players get more shit put on their plate, even if their stats get better because they have more responsibility, their efficiency goes down. This was his most efficient season ever.
Yeah.
And this is obviously the most he's ever been utilized. So it's impressive that he's able to post career high in field goal percentage, his second best 3-point shooting season, and his one of his most efficient assist to turnover years while having the ball more. Just so many little things, so many little improvements that have really, that won him the game. They won him this game. And I guess we can talk about it now. They're playing Miami. Miami's without Jimmy. They're without Caruso, which I hope Caruso's okay, man, because he's one of the best role players in basketball, point blank, period.
Yep.
But, this is It's gonna be interesting because there's no way you're telling anybody in Chicago y'all don't have a chance now.
Right. There's no way in hell. And before I even, Frank, you got anything else?
No.
I got a quick statement, man. Like, once again, and credit to Tyrese Maxey, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we saw this coming with Tyrese Maxey. So if Coby White don't get this damn award, and I know yesterday's game, the stats don't count, but man, this is they gave Ja Morant most improved player 1 year. Like, that's fucking ridiculous. But this needs to be Coby White's award.
Yeah.
Point blank, without question. It's not gonna be, unfortunately, because when we talk about awards, we'll get into it in the voters, and not everybody really deserves a vote, and people weren't really paying attention to Chicago that much. So Tyrese Maxey is like, you kind of hear the name a little more, and he's a bigger name, so he'll win the award. And credit to him for being a very good player, but he's been a very good player. We had no idea this Coby White was going to become this. So, man, if I had a vote, that's who it's going to. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Playoff File. You can follow me on Twitter if you want, or X if you want to call it that, at KingsPenceNBA. I don't care if you do. Just subscribe to us. Subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform. Frankie, where can they find you?
Frankie G _ FRANKYG _ on Twitter.
Lou, where can they find you?
At Saucy Takes with the Z at the end, no spaces, obviously, because it's Twitter, just on Twitter.
Lou's been saying no spaces this whole time, and it's like not possible. So Frankie,
It's so old of him, and he's the young guy.
Yeah.
If you like the music throughout, that's my brother Devin Finch. You can find his Instagram, BlackGlowMusic. You could also download his EPs wherever you get music, and we'll see y'all next time.